Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. Today, we're going to be discussing the darker side of the wizarding world, diving deep into the subject of Horcruxes, and discussing a historical figure who created a Horcrux long before Voldemort ever did. J.K. Rowling once revealed that, over the course of history, many witches and wizards tried to create a Horcrux, in spite of a severe lack of instructions from evil textbooks. Wizards would have been looking for ways to do exactly what Voldemort did for years, and some of the ways they would have tried would have killed them. So I imagine they're huge parallels. Splitting the atom would be a very good parallel in our world. I do imagine that other people are going to have tried. I think it would be naive not to think that people have been trying for a long time, and thought they succeeded and hadn't, or else maimed themselves or killed themselves in the attempt. It's such a dangerous thing to do. What this quote tells me is that maybe, just maybe, there's a wizard out there that was able to produce a Horcrux before anyone else. They just never made it into the history books. After all, if the idea of producing a Horcrux is self-preservation, why would you want to boast about it and bring it to everyone's attention? I happen to have one very good guess for who this wizard might be, the original Horcrux creator. But first, let's look at the other wizards in Harry Potter canon who are credited as having created Horcruxes, and let's look at what exactly a Horcrux is. A Horcrux is a dark object in which a dark witch or wizard has imbued part of their soul. The ultimate purpose of creating a Horcrux is to achieve immortality. J.K. Rowling, who coined the term, defines it as follows: a receptacle prepared by dark magic in which a dark wizard has intentionally hidden a fragment of his soul for the purpose of attaining immortality. According to Harry Potter canon, Herpo the Foul is the first wizard on record to have created a Horcrux. Herpo was an ancient dark wizard that hailed from Greece, who happened to have an awful lot of similarities to Salazar Slytherin. He was a Parselmouth, and he created the first ever basilisk, which could perhaps suggest that Slytherin was a descendant of Herpo's. It's entirely unknown when Herpo walked the earth, but we do know that it was a long time ago, as he is commonly referred to as one of the earliest known dark wizards. While Herpo is credited as having created the first Horcrux, what's surprising is that we actually don't know much about it. We don't know when he made it, what it is, or if when it was destroyed. For all we know, Herpo could still be around. I've got a theory surrounding this in another video, The Lost Horcrux, but go and watch that afterwards. The next credited Horcrux creator came along many centuries later, a young boy by the name of Tom Riddle, Voldemort. I would venture to say that Voldemort is the individual most commonly associated with Horcruxes, not Herpo, despite Herpo being the first to create one. And that's because Voldemort, whose main objective in life was to achieve immortality, ultimately created 7 of them: a ring, a diary, a cup, a locket, a diadem, a snake, and a boy. So if not Herpo and not Voldemort, who is this mysterious wizard that I believe should be credited as the first Horcrux creator? If you're not up to snuff on your folklore, particularly your Russian folklore, then the concept of a soul container or soul shard like a Horcrux may have been introduced to you in the Harry Potter books, but as it so happens, this is not a novel concept, and was actually introduced many centuries ago in folktales. Now, it's no secret that J.K. Rowling tends to draw all kinds of inspiration from all over the map when doing her storytelling. There's Greek influence, Roman influence, historic literary influence, and, many other kinds of influence evident within the Harry Potter story. And Rowling certainly gives due credit to these sources of inspiration. However, when questioned specifically about the origin of Horcruxes, J.K. Rowling claimed that nothing in particular had inspired the concept. Could this be the case? Certainly. But does this piece of Russian folklore that I'm about to tell you seem quite familiar? You be the judge and let me know in the comments. The first folktale containing a Horcrux-esque object was called Tsarevich Peter and the Wizard. In this story, the Tsar's three sons attempt to rescue Tsar Belyanin's wife, the Tsaritsa, who has been abducted by a dark wizard, Koschei. Koschei, who also goes by the epithet the Immortal, which bears a striking resemblance to Voldemort, Flight of Death in French, is an archetypal male antagonist that has been appearing in Slavic tales since before the 18th century. In this tale, two of the Tsar's sons fail in their attempts to rescue the Tsaritsa, but the third son, Peter, discovers the secret to Koschei's immortality. Koschei, much like Voldemort, discovered a dark spell that allowed him to separate soul from body, hiding his soul inside of nested objects to protect it. The tale of Koschei supports the idea in Harry Potter that the soul is the most important part of our life force, and that the physical body is merely a container, a vessel. In order to prevent himself from being killed, Koschei hides his soul inside of nested objects in order to protect it. Like the Russian Matryoshka doll or nesting doll, there are layers and layers that need to be peeled back in order to get to the base layer, each layer acting as one more measure of protection. In Koschei's tale, his soul is hidden within an egg, within a duck, within a hare that nests in a hollow log that floats on a pond found in a forest on the island of Buyan. In some versions, Koschei's soul is hidden within a needle, within an egg, within a duck, with the duck flying away whenever anyone tries to catch it. Ultimately, in the story of Peter and Koschei, Peter is able to find the egg and destroy him. Some have speculated that Koschei was inspired by a 12th century Polovtsian leader named Khan Konchak. Koschei's epithet, the Immortal, could potentially be a reference to Konchak's longevity, as Konchak was able to live an unusually long life. Despite it being the 12th century, Konchak purportedly lived for over 100 years, which at the time would have been the equivalent of many generations. Though Koschei's method of soul encasement differs from Harry Potter in some ways, it's hard to ignore the parallels between Koschei and Voldemort, and I for one think that Koschei, at least subconsciously, if not consciously, inspired Rowling's concept of the Horcrux. Both men created a multitude of Horcruxes by hiding, encasing soul fragments into objects, and both of these men's objects happen to be very difficult to find. And provided that Koschei existed long before Herpo the Foul or Voldemort, it's entirely possible that he could be credited as the first Horcrux creator even in the Harry Potter universe. For all we know, Koschei could be related to the founders of the Russian magical school Koldov Stvoriets. Koldov Stvoriets was apparently founded around the time of the Novgorod Republic, which checks out time-wise. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, remember, greatness inspires envy, envy engenders spite, spite spawns lies.